on Sunday, but temperatures may be a shade lower. Now, I'm hoping for no surprises from these temperatures. Oh, they look about right. Now, we should see temperatures rising a bit later on in the week, but it is unsettled. Most of the wet weather in the north and the west. Looks like things are back to normal.
Technical glitches gone. Darren, thank you very much. And that's it from the BBC News at 6. The news continues here on BBC One. It's time for the news where you are. Goodbye.
Thanks, Sophie. Tonight on Look East, what's being done to tackle the huge backlog in letter deliveries? Royal Mail opens a state-of-the-art processing plant in our region, but 1 in 3 people are currently experiencing delays.
We're inside the Royal Mail's new parcel distribution hub. It's absolutely massive, and we'll give you a look round.
Remembering John Ward, who spent decades fighting for justice after his daughter's murder in Kenya.
Dad didn't understand that he was unique. He didn't get that at all. The drive, the bravery, the tenacity. We look on him as a bit of a hero. He wouldn't understand that, so he wouldn't say that, but I can.
The 3 gymnasts from Suffolk who've won 18 medals at the Special Olympics in Germany.
And I'll be showing you one of the region's most remarkable gardens.
Thanks for joining us. Our top story tonight, the huge postal delivery delays affecting millions of people. New figures show almost 1 in 3 of us experienced letter delays in the last month. That's 15.7 million people across the UK waiting for often vital letters about appointments, bills and fines. Today, one of Royal Mail's top bosses was in the region, opening what they say is the most advanced parcel processing plant in the country. But the problem is letters, not parcels. So how is this going to help? Sam Reid reports.
You can fit 14 jumbo jets in here, 30 football pitches. You could comfortably lay down London's Shard. You get the idea. This parcel hub near Daventry in Northamptonshire is massive. It needs to be. Once fully operational, it will deal with 90,000 parcels every hour.
It's going to make an enormous difference to us. We're carrying over 1 billion parcels currently, and this is our part of our growth plan and part of the group's significant investment. So it's something that nobody else has got anything like this, and we've created this. And what it helps for our customers and our clients is we can get the e-commerce into the building as soon as possible, and we can get it out as soon as possible.
700 people have jobs here. Some move from other bases like Northampton, which will now only be used for overflow at Christmas. But robots also have a role. They mean parcels can arrive from online retailers, be sorted and ready to leave in 7 minutes. In some other Royal Mail centres, that can take a whole day. One train every 24 hours will head to Scotland from here, but most posts will arrive and leave by lorry. This place is all about parcels, but not a single letter will come through here. And that is where the Royal Mail is being criticised for delays. In fact, just today, the Citizens Advice Bureau said more than 15 million people experienced postal delays last month alone. One of the company's top bosses was here for today's official opening. He admits there have been problems.
There's no doubt that we've had a difficult year, and we apologise to any customers who have been inconvenienced. But we're pretty confident now that those times are behind us, and with this facility we'll be improving our service to everybody. But we take it very seriously, and you can guarantee we are focused on making sure customers get the service that they pay for.
A committee of MPs has already said this year you are prioritising parcels at the expense of letters. Here you are opening a multi-million-pound facility to again improve parcels. Are you concentrating on letters at all?
Look, Royal Mail's been around over 500 years. It was founded on letters, and letters are still hugely important to us. But we have to be realistic. They have declined immensely, and they continue to decline as digitisation comes in. So no, letters are still important to us, and they will be in the future. But parcels are growing. People are ordering more and more things online, and we've got to be ready to serve those customers as well.
Parcels are where Royal Mail will make its money in the future. But how well and how quickly it continues to deliver all our mail will be closely watched. Sam Reid, BBC Look East, Northamptonshire.
And if you've been affected by this, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know how long you're waiting and any problems it's caused. You can contact us by phone, email or social media, and please leave a number so we can get back in touch. Now, John Ward was catapulted into the spotlight 35 years ago when his daughter Julie was killed in the Masai Mara Game Reserve. John, who ran a hotel in Bury St Edmunds, waged a passionate and dedicated campaign to get justice for Julie, which continued until his death earlier this month. His wife Jan had died just 2 weeks earlier, and their funeral was held today. Their family say it was a chance to celebrate their extraordinary lives and also to remember Julie. Julie Ward was in the Masai Mara to take wildlife photographs. When she disappeared in September 1988, John flew out to Kenya to search for her. He was the one who found her remains. Kenyan officials initially claimed she'd been attacked by wild animals, but a British pathologist showed that her body had been dismembered with a machete and set alight. In the years that followed, John committed himself to finding Julie's killer. He spent more than £2 million, made more than 100 trips to Kenya and sat through 2 murder trials. I first met your dad back in 1992 and he was a force of nature. What really struck me about him was how forensic he was.
He was extraordinary with detail. He would dissect a sentence to decide why somebody had used a word or a comma or what tonation they were using, but in terms of facts as well, he was able to assimilate a lot of facts and come to a very sensible conclusion very quickly. Forensic is a very good word. That's how his brain worked.
John became convinced that Jonathan Moi, son of the former Kenyan president, was involved, but he died in 2019. John's campaign continued, but the focus turned to analysing the cover-up. What effect did it have on the family as a whole that he spent so much energy in trying to get justice for Julie?
Yes, it had an effect on family life, but it became part of family life as well. Dad's very good at working on Julie Kenya, putting it in his box, then becoming a dad again, and going up to the asparagus farm in Norfolk and chatting about football or, you know, the politics or Look East or whatever. It wasn't all about Julie, it was when he was working on it.
And what do you think really drove him? We know obviously there was grief, but to keep going as long as he did, what was that about? Was it about justice? Was it anger?
Anger's part of it. In the conversations I had with him, he refers it actually in his book as well to the moment he finds Julie's remains. And, you know, he's a father, that's his daughter, and there's parts of Julie in the middle of that. Drove him, but even when he said he was going to give up, he just remembered that moment and he couldn't let somebody get away with it. And that, whether that's anger, father's love, I don't really know. All I know is that that moment re-inspired him over the years.
And you were a young man then?
Oh, mid-20s, yeah.
I mean, do you remember it really clearly and what impact did it have on you?
Well, initially it was horrendous. It was unusual because we not only lost Julie, we then lost her in horrific circumstances, and then the press wanted to know everything about it when we didn't know anything about it. Up until that point, I'm playing football on a Sunday morning at the local club and we're going down the pub and we're just as normal a family as you can be. So it did for a while turn our lives slightly upside down.
John and Jan's sons have lost both their parents at the same time, but they're determined to celebrate their lives and Julie's, and they've pledged to continue their father's extraordinary mission to get to the truth.
Dad didn't understand that he was unique. He didn't get that at all. The drive, the bravery, the tenacity, the forensic. He didn't know that that's what other people didn't do. So I think anybody who would talk about him in this kind of, we look on him as a bit of a hero, he wouldn't understand that.
But a hero to you?
Oh, I think he's a hero to me, to Tim, Julie and Mum. Yeah, I think what he's done is absolutely incredible.
Let's take a quick look at some of today's other news. As you may have seen, the Prime Minister has visited Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge today as the government publishes its NHS recruitment plans. Rishi Sunak has announced a 15-year NHS improvement plan and says it is the most ambitious transformation in the way the health service is staffed. £2.4 billion of funding is being made available. More than 100 residents have been evacuated from a block of flats in Colchester over fire safety concerns. The Fire and Rescue Service issued a prohibition notice on the 7-storey Amleen house after an inspection found the potential for rapid fire spread was a serious risk to life. Plans to close part of the Essex stretch of the A12 this weekend have been called off after major disruption last Saturday and Sunday. The diversion near Colchester led to delays of more than an hour. The work is part of a multi-million-pound project to remove and replace the old concrete road surface. The Coast Guard has confirmed the search for the missing sailor taking part in a solo yacht challenge has been stood down. 70-year-old Duncan Luigi from Essex was last seen on the 19th of June. His boat has now been found off the coast of Cornwall, but he is still missing.
11 days after they were last seen, the RNLI lifeboat at Padstow in Cornwall towed in Minky the missing sailor's boat, but Duncan Luigi wasn't on board. He's an experienced boat builder and sailor who talked to the BBC before he successfully crossed the Atlantic solo 13 years ago.
Well, it's a long-held ambition to follow in the footsteps of some of the great sailors like Francis Chichester, Eric Tabley and so on, who competed in the first Offstars single-handed transatlantic races across to the States. So I've always wanted to have a go and do it myself.
He set off from here in Plymouth on the Jester Challenge, a 4-day trip on the 18th of June. It's a 300-mile journey to Baltimore Haven. Minky was last spotted a day later at Helford River. His emergency location beacons weren't activated. Despite a 5-day intensive air and sea search of the Celtic Sea, Minky was found drifting 70 miles northwest of Trevose Head. Initial police inquiries show no fresh entries in the ship's journal for at least 9 days. In a statement, Devon and Cornwall police say it appears that no one was on the vessel and therefore the boat's skipper, Duncan Luigi, remains missing. His next of kin has been informed. The Coast Guard says the search was terminated once it had become clear that the period of survivability had passed. It's here on the Orwell Estuary near Ipswich that he's a company director at Clark & Carter Yacht Brokers, based at Levington Marina. He lives in Dedham in Essex and volunteers as a bike blood runner for the NHS in Suffolk and Cambridgeshire. Tonight, the challenge organisers say when and how he had become departed from his much-loved Minky is yet to be determined. In the meantime, the Jester community holds firm and sends its full support to his nearest and dearest. Debbie Tubby, BBC Look East.
A new mobile food hub has been set up in Cambridgeshire. Its aim is to take free or cheap supplies direct to the people who need them most. And of course it comes at a time when food prices have risen by 20% and many people are struggling.
A lifeline for hundreds of families struggling to cope in the cost of living crisis. Now this food hub is heading out on the road, going to harder to reach communities, finding life tough.
The need is rising every single day, so our numbers are increasing every single week. The cost of living is rocket high and the fuel bills are going every single day. Unfortunately, people are struggling, especially the people who are on minimum wage or 0-hour contracts.
The mobile hub will go to 6 villages, taking fresh food and essentials, either free or below cost price. It's funded by the local council, which says it's doing all it can.
We've identified the communities with the highest deprivation data to start off with, and taking food to them which is either going to be free or which they're going to be able to buy at very much below the supermarket's prices in order to help people feed themselves and feed their families when they're really struggling.
First stop, Duxford. It's hoped the hub will help reduce any stigma. People don't need to be referred and can just turn up on the day.
People that are elderly, so they're relying on pensions, people that are unable to work, but even those with two incomes coming in, they're still finding the cost of living crisis a really big struggle.
Trying to make ends meet is getting harder and harder. You know, I mean, they gave us 11% rise on the pension, but it was taken away with the rent rise, rates and everything else. We're no better off.
Well, I can't believe it's happening that we can pay a little bit and get food for a cut price. Brilliant.
And how difficult is it to make ends meet at the moment?
Well, you ask any pensioner. You ask them.
For some, it's particularly tough.
So I went to the kitchen and they opened their fridge and the shelf and showed me they don't have anything to eat. So that moment is very sad.
It's hoped the mobile hub will reach even more families as the cost of living challenges continue. Emma Bohr, BBC Look East, Cambridgeshire.
Keep watching, we've got lots more to come. In a moment, we'll be catching up with some of the heroes from the Special Olympics in Berlin. Jules will be here with your weekend weather forecast, and Mike is at a very special garden.
It's just starting to rain, but the garden's still going to look very special, I assure you. Most of it is through there. You'll have to wait a little while longer, but we'll show you round later in the programme.
Now it's time to celebrate 3 young gymnasts from the Waveney Club in Lowestoft. Grace, Simon and Jack have just returned from the Special Olympics World Games in Berlin. Between them, they brought home an incredible 18 medals, including 10 golds. Jonathan Park has this.
A guard of honour for 3 special gymnasts. Grace, Simon and Jack with medals galore given the star treatment.
It's been a wild ride. It has been just incredible and life-changing to think that I'm able to do this now after years of training. It feels like it's just the work has paid off.
And boy did it pay off for Simon and co. 18 magnificent medals between them at the Special Olympics World Games in Berlin, which gives athletes with intellectual disabilities a chance to shine and meet some friends for life.
It was absolutely amazing meeting different countries from all over the world. There was people from Spain, South Africa, Australia. I can't really name them all.
14-year-old Grace cleaned up in her category, winning 4 golds, including the overall one. Jack also dominated, incredibly, 6 golds plus a silver, all in a couple of days' work for the 17-year-old.
It was good to be a part of the team and wearing all the same kit is being part of something. Then there's other teams and we made friends.
Of course, the medals equal success, but taking part in the world's largest inclusive sporting event offers so many other benefits too.
Because they've been out there and just learning, making good choices. You know, we've been commuting around 2 cities, so we're in Stuttgart and Berlin. So, you know, it's not just about the sport. They've also learned so many life skills as well.
Which medal is most special to you?
Probably floor. I did really well in floor.
Why was it so good?
Because I stretched my fingers and pointed my toes and just smiled.
I'm very proud of my gymnasts. I've taught them for a number of years, and to see them compete on the international stage was amazing.
And to do it, were you just given birth as well?
Yeah, 7 weeks old, she came across to Germany with us, so yeah, she's definitely been the youngest team member.
Mum Ellen and Dad Alex have got their hands full. A new one on top of running the Waveney Gym Club, which is one of Britain's best when it comes to disability provision. Jonathan Park, BBC Look East.
Isn't that just terrific? Congratulations. And a baby going along at 7 weeks old. Amazing too. Now remember, there's plenty more news and features on your local pages of the BBC website. Teams from Northampton and Cambridge have met for an unusual game of croquet. For the last 3 years, they've held a match to decide on how the local river should be pronounced. Scan the QR code on your screen now to see who won this year and whether we should be saying Nen or Neen. Bedford is hosting the biggest gig in its history tonight. George Ezra is performing to a sellout audience of 15,000 people. Read the full story to find out how important it is to the town. And a festival is being held in Norfolk to celebrate Maharaja Duleep Singh, the last Sikh emperor of the Punjab, who lived on the Elvedon estate near Thetford in Norfolk. Now, it's that time of year when people all over the region open their gardens to raise money for charity. You'll struggle to find a better garden than the one which belongs to Roy and Rita Cooper in Stow Upland near Stowmarket. They're opening for the last time this weekend. Mike Liggins is there. Is it still raining, Mike?
It's trying to, but I think we're okay just at the moment. Now, in the headlines, I called this a remarkable garden. And it is a remarkable garden for several reasons. I mean, just look at the colour. Most of it provided by the roses. And we think that there are over 100 roses in this garden. But it's not just the planting, it's of course the people. And it's Roy and Rita who've been here for many years and are opening the garden again on Sunday to help raise money for the St Elizabeth Hospice. Rita and Roy Cooper enjoying a well-earned cup of tea in the garden. Married for 66 years, the garden has been a big part of their life, and when they first moved in, there wasn't much here.
It was all grass and a bit of vegetable garden,
yeah,
and 2 trees. That was all that was here. There was no buildings, nothing.
Did you have a plan?
No, I just done it as I went along.
Yeah.
The garden has been open to the public every year for 26 years. Roy and Rita were first asked to open by a woman from the village church.
I was on my hands and knees at the bottom garden putting plants in, and she reached over the hedge and said, "Rita, do you think you could open the garden for the church?" Because I used to go to the church when I was little. And I said, "Oh no, I'll think about that." And then we had a chat, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And spoke to a few people, and I said, "Yeah, we'll open."
Roy owned a garage for many years. Now 86, he's out in the garden most days by 9. He is beginning to struggle a bit now and can get down to weed but can't get back up. He does get a bit of help, but this will almost certainly be Roy and Rita's last year for open gardens. This is your last year, is it?
Yes, it is, yes. I wouldn't want to open the garden if I hadn't got it to my satisfaction. I love people to see the garden. But even after all these years, I still don't know the name of plants. I just put in stuff I like.
Roy and Rita are such a lovely couple. What a garden they've created. And not only have they helped raise money for charity, but they've given so much pleasure to so many people down the years. You've got the pond and the fountain and the street light, which works, by the way, and you think, well, that's great, but there is more. Come through underneath the arch, you have to duck a little, and there's some lovely planting through here, and Roy still does all his own plantings and the baskets. And then here's the summer house, which Roy built, and this was the Daily Mirror shed of the year back in the day. And then if we come round this way, that is a tree house with a bed in it, and Roy and Rita sadly can't get up there any longer. Well, we've had an absolutely fantastic day, but we've had a very busy day, so I thought it was about time that I sat down in the old rocking chair and made use of Roy's little LP player here. We've got a little bit of Don Williams. You're My Best Friend. It's on Sunday between 2 and 5 o'clock.
You please go.
Have a great weekend.
Oh, Mike, that is just magical. You're not going to want to leave. That's just, gosh, that is just so beautiful, isn't it? And we were very encouraged that Roy just goes for what he likes, because I'm not very good with names of plants.
Yeah.
You're a lot better than me, I think.
No, I am not. I love the fact that he just said, plant what makes you happy and you like.
And it's just so stunning, that garden, and you know, going through the archway and then, oh, everywhere you turn.
I want to go up in that tree house.
I know. Oh, how lovely. Sorry, I'm delaying your weather. We need to know what's going to happen this weekend.
Well, you saw there with Mike, there is a little
bit of patchy rain out there at the moment, quite a lot of cloud, but Cromer, Susie, was one of the places that actually got to see a bit of sunshine for the final day of the month. I cannot believe we are almost into July. If you cast your mind back to the start of June, do you remember we had those nagging cold northeasterly winds for 9 days, and on the 6th of June, Cromer actually only recorded a top temperature of 12 degrees Celsius. But fast forward nearly 20 days and some parts of the region had temperatures 20 degrees higher. Santon Downham in Suffolk and Marham in Norfolk recording 32 degrees Celsius, making it the warmest day of the year so far. And after that parky old start, June 2023 is likely to be one of the warmest on record, probably in the top 5, and I'll have more on that during Monday's programme. But let's talk more about tonight. A lot of clouds, some outbreaks of drizzle, and then probably some showers feeding in from the west later on. But for many of us, it'll be a largely dry night and a fairly humid one with lows of about 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. So tomorrow, this is the cold front that actually brings us those showers later on tonight. Eventually it will pull out into the North Sea. But before that, a scattering of showers to start Saturday, but not for everybody. And then a largely dry day, certainly a dry afternoon for everyone as it stands, with some decent spells of sunshine, especially in the west. And temperatures perhaps a bit higher compared to today, with highs of around 21 to 23 degrees Celsius. But it remains on the windy side. Gusts tomorrow of around 30 miles per hour, but from more of a westerly direction. And it's a blustery old day on Sunday too, but all the wet weather associated with this low pressure well away to the north. So Sunday, yes, a keen old wind, but largely fine and dry. Monday, a lot of dry weather too to start the week, but by the afternoon the chance of some showers, but I think come Tuesday any showers very isolated indeed. And then Wednesday, the possibility of showers and perhaps some much needed further longer spells of rain, but we're not quite sure whether that wet weather is going to reach us. And then Thursday and Friday, winds round to the southwest, so becoming warmer and back to fine and dry conditions. And after tonight, temperatures overnight close to average, if not a little bit below. Susie.
Thank you very much, Jules. That's all from us. Have a very good weekend. Goodbye.